Hey RogueTech fans, it's Blaine here once again, and you've got my final preview, the fourth preview of the new HHR update. What are we going to cover today? I'm going to look at lambs, I'm going to look at in-game, and so show you how some of the things are changing there. Right, let's start off quickly moving to the mech bay. I'm actually going to first of all show you what I've done on this Master Summoner. I've built this just because I can. I've added the helical railgun just so I can have a play with it. But there's this nice new little item called a stabilized housing. Now, you'll notice that with a lot of the stuff that has minus recoil now, it's only going to affect the area that it's fitted in. You can no longer put minus recoil in the arms and reduce the recoil of weapons in the torsos. But you do at least have stabilized housing that can have a little bit of an impact. It's 2 tons, it takes 1 slot, and it's -1 recoil with ranged weapons in that location. So this is my fun Master Summoner. I've done it really just to show you what happens with handhelds and to show you how awesome the helical railgun is. The most important one though that we're going to look at is the Cockatrice Bomber. This is one of the new lamb settings. Now, lambs have changed massively with HHR. I noticed that some of you spotted the Easter egg in the last film. Well, here's a lot more detail. Lambs now have essentially three different groups of weaponry. They have your standard weaponry that you're used to, lasers, autocannons, and so on. But they now have 2 different types of lamb specific slots. First of all, we have these little wing hardpoints, which have got a lovely icon. You can actually find, well, in this Cockatrice we have 3. We've got 1 on each of the side torsos and the central torso one. Those will fit specific wing mounted weaponry, such as these Phoenix missiles, such as the much loved Vulcans, whereas we also now have a lamb weapons bay. Now previously you might have remembered we had to actually fit a lamb hardpoint into the specialist slot in order to use any of the lamb weapons. Not anymore. Now if you want to be able to use weapons, you have to fit one of these internal weapon bays. They don't weigh anything extra, but it allows the lamb to actually use weapons. So if we were to take that out, you can see it drops it down to no bays there. But if we've got it present, we can now go and equip all kinds of other things, such as the AMS flares, and the guided bombs that I've got on this particular one. Now something that is a bit different, previously all lamb weapons used to take up your handheld equipment weight, but you'll notice if I take out this, it actually is just affecting the total carry weight of the mech. So bombs no longer form part of the handheld weight, so that's actually a really good change. When we're in game, I'll show you how these work. They're very different to before. As for wing mounted weapons, these do, as you can see, just use up the handheld carry weight. So you've got a combination. You still have handheld slots on these, but obviously if you're going to use a whole load of wing mounted weapons, you're not going to be able to fit a handheld weapon as well. It's a bit of sort of like, just decide what's best for you. What I've done with this particular one, I've just got a range of bits and pieces. I don't think it would be a particularly effective mech in real situations because it's going to run out of ammo fast, but hopefully it'll give you an idea of how it'll work. So I think the best thing we had to do now is move into game and have a look and see how everything has changed, because we've got loads of changes. We have changes to evasion, we have changes to the way bombs work. All of the skills have changed, which I'll show you when we're in game. I'm going to do a simple mission. We're just going to drop here. We're probably going to come up against 4 vehicles, maybe mechs, doesn't matter. All I'm going to use is the 4 mechs I've just shown you there. So we've got the 2 Grand Dragons, one with a sword and shield, the other that's using a handheld weapon to show you how that works as well, the Cockatrice, and the Master Summoner just because we can. Let's deploy.
Reactor online, sensors online, weapons online, all systems nominal.
Right, let's drop. Now I am massively outgunning these guys. This isn't an example of how to play a battle. This is just so I can show you how some of the new mechanics work. So yeah, don't expect to do this in your first battle. This is anything but a starting lance against a poor little one green skull. So difficulty 2. Alright, so we've got the enemy appearing over here. I'm just going to drop all of my units just here because then they're going to be easily go and get into range of them so we can see how everything now works. So the first thing I was mentioning, evasion has completely changed. It used to be quite easy to counter evasion, whereas now faster mechs are going to benefit far more because it's actually going to be much harder to counter evasion with HHR. So, you know, get your little lights out there and start running around. You're no longer going to be shot to pieces so easily by a well-armed heavy or assault. Right, so what have we got? We've got the usual things to look at here. So when I actually go onto an individual pilot, the first thing you'll notice that the resolve bar, it may look the same for each one, but actually every one of these pilots has their own personal resolve bar. What you will, I'm not entirely sure exactly how fast it will generate at the start, but what I will get with these is 6 resolve per turn, plus you can gain extra resolve by doing actions such as destroying enemies, even hitting them successfully. As we play this, I hope we'll show you how that will work. Right, this first unit here, this is the one that's equipped with the combat shield and sword, as well as 4 medium lasers. I'm just going to try and get him into close combat so we can have a go. One thing you will see, we've got the combat shield in passive. If I turn it to active mode, immediately the AMS and the medium laser are both deactivated, so be aware if you put an AMS in the same location as your shield and you activate that shield, it can't shoot missiles out of the sky. And of course, if we had an active combat shield, we can't run. But we're not going to do that. What we're going to do, we're just going to sprint over so that we can get into melee combat and hopefully next turn against one of these targets. Because even melee combat should give you resolve. So essentially every pilot now has to earn their resolve throughout the battle, and they also have to be able to earn their resolve to actually spend it on special abilities. You'll notice that Captain Jack here has Berserker. Previously it used to be a timed ability, so you could use it one turn and then it would have a certain cooldown before it could be reused. Now it has a set resolve cost, in this case 40 points. So, you know, he's starting on 6. It's going to take a while before he hits 40. But when he does, he'll be able to actually take the option to use Berserker, or of course he could use one of the other things, such as Offensive Push, which would cost him 30, or Vigilance, which costs 40. One advantage this now has is you can actually prep your whole team so that a whole load of them could use Offensive Push, or a whole load of them could use Vigilance in one turn, and then swarm the enemies. I think tactically it's gonna really change the way we play. So it really good change. So let's move on anyway. We're still in the starting phase. So at the moment nobody can fire, nobody can do anything. Now the reason I've taken this particular Grand Dragon is because it's armed with a combat shotgun. You'll immediately notice both PPC and the ERPPC are shown as inactive. The simple reason for this is because that combat shotgun is in the arm that these two are being used in. So what you could do, you could go into battle with a handheld weapon, keep using it until it runs out of ammo, and then if you wanted to switch to the two PPCs, you just hold down the left control, click over the ammo, so in this case where it says cluster for the combat shotgun, which drops the combat shotgun. As soon as it's been dropped, we can then activate both of the PPCs. So that hopefully will show you how you can switch from a ranged weapon that's handheld to standard ranged weapons in the same slot. Okay, the next thing to do, this is our new LAM. Now, these have changed so much. The important thing to bear in mind with these weapon bays is that the range that they can fire is based on the evasion pips that you currently have on the bomber. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to go over here really nice and fast. We'll build up 10 evasion pips. I'm just going to sit here for my next turn.
Let's roll.
And then I'll be able to show you how that will vary when you swap it down from 10 to 0 evasion pips. And that just represents the LAM. It's flying along, it's doing a bombing run, and then it's getting to wherever it's ending up. So I think it's quite a nice mechanic that's been chosen there to control the new bomb bays. Right, the final one that I've got, of course, is my Master Summoner with a helical railgun and an Avenger rifle. Now you'll notice the thing about the Avenger rifle, it is two-handed because it's 20 tons and there's a 20-ton carry weight. Now normally you would think, should that not have switched off both arms worth of weapons? But no, it only switches off the weapons that are in the hand where the Avenger rifle is held. So essentially this is the hand that is gripping the Avenger rifle's stock itself, whereas the other hand simply supports the weapon as it fires. So that still allows you to sweep your armour across afterwards and fire the ER medium lasers in this case, following the use of your 20-ton Avenger rifle. As with the shotgun, when I run out of ammo, I could simply go over the ammo, control left click it, and that would not the helical railgun, go over the ammo for the Avenger rifle, control left click it and drop it, which would mean that then I would switch to being able to use the additional medium ER pulse laser. So it's useful to know when you're building a mech that you can do this, so that you can prepare for when their weapons run out. Right, so let's move on to the first active turn so I can actually show you some of the really cool stuff that's now in place. Okay, we've got Captain Jack first. Of course, the one target that I was hoping to go into melee with has run off. We could still charge it. I think we should charge it because that's always fun. You'll notice straight away, Captain Jack's first turn, he's now gained 6 additional resolve, so he's now up to 12. We're going to charge this unit. If we hit it, it's an 87% chance, so it's fairly high. We should gain additional resolve from doing that action. Oh, the poor Strider. Straight in the back, and it's been blown apart. Right, let's have a go back to Captain Jack and let's see how much he is at. He only gained 1 point of resolve for doing that charge, so it wasn't the best manoeuvre to gain some.
What do you want?
Okay, so we'll take Blaine next in his Lamb. Now, at this current point, if I was just simply to fire, you'll notice if I was to look here at the hammer, I don't think I'm in range of any others, I could actually use my bombs over that huge distance. Now, previously with bombs, you used to simply have to drop them near your feet and hope that you didn't blow yourself up. Not anymore. I mean, look at that. That's a decent range, isn't it? And that's because the Cockatrice currently has 10 pips, so it's able to shoot the bombs that whole distance. Now, if instead I just sit still and turn on the spot, I no longer have any pips, and I can no longer target it with any bombs. But I can still use some of the wing-mounted weapons, such as the Phoenix, and the wing-mounted medium pulse pod, which I think is really cool. Plus, of course, the Vulcans. So there we go. We can still shoot over a decent distance. It's just that I couldn't drop the bombs. Next turn, I'll show you again when we go up to full pips how we can lob those bombs and blow something to pieces. Right, what have we got next that we can use? We've now got Dead Girl 2 in her mech that's already dropped its combat shotgun. Similar thing, you know, we're now being able to use the PPCs. You'll notice that this standard PPC now has PPC capacitor as an option. This is because, if you remember, when I was setting this up in the previous video, we added one of the new attachments, the PPC capacitor. The same with the ER large laser, it now has the pulse present. So what we could do with the PPC, we could change it to FI on or off. Previously we could have gone on off, but without the capacitor. But if we do that, you can see the damage immediately is reduced because we don't have the benefit of the capacitor. However, we don't have the heat production. I mean, you know, if we look at how much heat we're going to be producing with it in standard mode as opposed to capacitor mode, it's a huge chunk of heat. It's the same with the ER pulse, ER large laser that's been converted into a pulse. The accuracy drops because we're no longer using it. We have got it insulated. We have got it with both, or we've got it in pulse. Or sorry, basic, I think that is, rather than both. So it's just insulated or just basic. Right. I'm going to leave it in pulse anyway because it increases the accuracy considerably, so it makes the large laser quite good. But I'm not going to go and use the capacitor because we're going to overheat if we do that. So let's just fire a hammer in the back. Yeah, a bit of accurate shooting there. We've just got the pulse laser to hit. Missed with both of the PPCs. Right, who's up next? I'm just going to show you what happened with Dead Girl 2, because again she went up to 12 resolve before she fired. Let's see how much resolve she's built up, and then we'll also have a look and see how much resolve Blaine has built up. So Dead Girl 2, after hitting, has 12 resolve, so did not gain anything from doing that particular shot, and Blaine has gained an extra resolve. He's up to 13 for managing to hit. Now Wraith is exactly the same here. She's currently on 12 when it eventually removes that away. There we go, 12 out of 80. Now of course she has the amazing weapons such as the Avenger rifle. She's got the helical railgun. Whatever she shoots should hopefully blow apart. I think we're going to finish off the little hammer because there's nothing like a bit of overkill with railgun in the back. The accuracy isn't great, but hopefully if we hit, it should finish it off. Oh, there it goes. No, no, not quite destroyed. But you can see the difference is she has blown great chunks out of that enemy, and her resolve has shot all the way to 22. And that is because the target took critical damage. So it now means she has 22 resolve. Blaine is at 13. Dead Girl 2 is at 12. I can't see. 18 for this turn, of course, because they've just gained their extra 6. It's a bit frustrating because the +1 resolve appears there just as I'm trying to look at it. But it means that Wraith gained herself 4 additional resolve from taking out part of the hammer last turn. Right, so we've got Dead Girl 2 is a little bit on the warm side. I think we'll move forward, but we'll probably turn off the PPCs because we don't want to overheat and blow the mech apart. We'll just fire the pulse laser. And I think we'll take the hammer out because it's almost gone. So if you remember, she started with 18 resolve. The hammer has now died, so let's see how many additional resolve she's gained. So if we go and have a look, Dead Girl 2, she is now up to 20, when it clears, 28 resolve. So by actually taking that out of action, she's gained a bonus 10 resolve. So that means next turn she would probably be able to use her special ability, which is Control Burst, maybe not quite next turn, which would require 40. So that would have taken her up to 36 next turn. The following turn, with no additional bonuses, she could use Control Burst. Or of course she also could use Vigilance, or she now has enough nearly for offensive push. Right, Captain Jack, he was hoping to hit someone in combat with his sword, but isn't going to be able to. I'm going to put the passive shield on so that we can walk up there and then protect ourselves from any shots coming our way. So he's now braced, and now this is what I was going to show you about the lamb. So as before, you can see we cannot drop bombs on either of these because we've got way too far away. However, if I move sideways, so we're pretty much keeping the same range between them. Now that's probably not quite close enough. Let's try to there. At the moment it shows that it's not going to happen, but by the time we've moved, we've added the 10 evasion pips, and now you can see we actually have the Urban Mech in range of the guided bombs. So we can unload everything, apart from the medium pulse laser, at range against his Urban Mech. The other thing you notice with the bombs, we can change the type of mode. So at the moment we've got the guided bombs in there. We can either go in bomb 1 mode, bomb 2 mode, so drop 2 bombs at once, or we can use the AMS flare for its purpose of AMS. I think what we'll do is we'll lob 2 bombs from each of the bomb bays, because we've got the 2 fitted on this cockatrice, at those poor little Urban Mech, and it should probably blow it apart. Ooh, that took a lot of damage. Left leg down, side pod down, and is falling. I wouldn't be surprised if they eject. Not quite, but they're almost out of action. I mean, that shows you the sort of power a lamb can do from range with bombs now. And of course we have a wide range of different weapons that can fit into that bay. I can't wait to try them out properly during the full season. Okay, so now we're using the Master Summoner again. You'll notice the Avenger Rifle has jammed, and the helical railgun is down to 23% chance to hit. This is because if we look at the helical railgun, it has a huge amount of recoil. I mean, this thing has got a recoil of 16, so you fire it once, you're not going to be able to hit again. We could go into one of the other fire modes, so perhaps long range ×3, but you know, if we're using the standard ×2 or even the ×3, there's no chance we're going to hit that Urban Mech in the ground. We can switch to the long range, which will give us a much higher accuracy but only a single shot, but I think that's well worth doing against this Urban Mech. There we go. Right, Captain Jack is going to take his turn. I forgot to turn off his supercharger and his cockpit hot seat last time. Thankfully they haven't blown up. I don't know how. I was kind of expecting they would have done. Right, he does not have enough resolve yet in order to use Berserker, but he's too far away. I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to reserve him out, because that one may end up coming out. I've switched off stuff, so I can't reserve him out. Right, we're just going to walk up behind this one and just shoot it in the back. Now, of course, I do currently have the shield active, so I can't use the additional weapon. So what I might do is I'll switch off the shield, which I can't do because I've now moved. bear that in mind. You have to choose passive or active before you take your move with things like new shields. Well, we hit with 1 out of 3 shots. That's not bad. It's actually okay. Yeah, it's bad. And the Wolverine's taking his revenge by getting in behind me and trying to shoot me. Don't blame him. Right, now of course I do have bombs on board this cockatrice. So again, I'm going to go in fast. The other thing you can notice with bombs is they can do... they are now completely capable of actually shooting when you can't see. So I mean, that's another big advantage that you've had before. So you can treat them a lot like missiles. We can shoot straight over the top of the hill. I'm probably going to hit my own mech, so I wouldn't recommend doing this. And down come the bombs. There we go. Yeah, the Wolverine took damage. Unfortunately, Grand Dragon took damage. Inevitable. But again, you can see the advantage that these bombers would have. Indirect shots like that. I mean, it just opens up so many more possibilities for them. Right, we're going to move across with my Dead Girl 2 and her Grand Dragon, and we'll put on both PPCs this time. We will this time use the capacitor, we will use the pulse, so you can just see how much heat it can generate. Look at that. It's gonna... I'm probably going to blow myself up, but let's do it. There we go, yeah, she's now overheated. Now, of course, you can also have negative effects towards your resolve. I was hoping to be able to show it more easily there, but I'm pretty sure she just lost a point of resolve because she overheated. Certainly, yeah, I'm not sure. But from what I understand, as well as gaining the positive effects, you can lose resolve for negative effects, such as your teammates getting killed next to you, shutting down, falling over, injuries, and so on. I mean, it seems fair, really. I can understand that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to use the Master Summoner again. We are going to risk using everything at that one because it's not a proper mission, so it doesn't actually matter if I destroy my own troops. There we go, we've knocked over that Wolverine. I think the important thing to say with regards to some of these changes, I mean, the evasion one is going to be really big. It means we can use pilots that are really fast. We can do a lot more tactical, it always used to be hard to actually mix in light and medium mechs with heavy and assaults, but now I think it's going to be possible because you can go full evasion awareness. With regards to the LAM, I would say it's also vital as far as the skills for the pilot goes. If you take the skill that gives you evasiveness, that's 2 extra pips. Bear in mind that when you're using a weapons bay, every point of evasion increases its range. If you get those 2 extra pips, that's extra range as well as being able to be much harder to hit. Anyway, I think we're going to end it there. I don't think we need to end the life of this poor little Wolverine. So I hope you've enjoyed this final preview, and it's shown some of the other bits and pieces that are now in game. So any questions you've got with regards to how we now use Resolve for personal skills as well as generalized skills that we're used to. If you've got any other questions, just shout. I'm sure if I can't answer it, we'll be able to find someone that can. And I hope to see you all on the battlefield. If you've liked this, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you all later.